are back live. Woo! I was supposed to be here, supposed to be here. Now we're here. Oh my gosh, it is so good to be back. Welcome back, Sports Ranter Nation. Thank you, Nick. Thank you, Jake, for joining us here again today. I am back from a long vacation and hiatus, and I'm so excited to talk the sports ranters talk again. And we got to get right to it. Too much has happened. Breaking news, Nick. A lot of trades, free agency, things have happened. But let's shout it out to you. What happened today? We did have a Max Crosby trade, right?
Until it wasn't. It is until it
Oh!
isn't. Apparently they didn't like his physical. Obviously it just broke about an hour ago, maybe or less. And the last time this happened, like, typical like Drew Brees was probably the biggest name that this happened to. Doctors didn't pass him. So, what's weird about it is, from what I've heard, is basically, he just had surgery in January, right? So he's still in the healing process. I guess it hasn't healed enough to get a proper evaluation. So it wasn't that he didn't pass. They wouldn't have a proper evaluation, right? There's a lot of swelling, all that. You guys all know injuries and surgery and stuff. So they wouldn't have been able to get a proper evaluation for a few more months. And I guess for the capital that the Ravens gave up, that was too far to gamble on what they gave. As far as a fan, as a Raider fan, it's bittersweet both ways. I never wanted to see him go. You never want to see a good player go, but at the same time, you understand the business, you understand football, you understand the needs of your team. We're rebuilding. We're about to get a number one overall quarterback, young guy, rookie quarterback. Like, are we really in a win now? So I was actually a little excited for Crosby just as a football fan. Like, hey,
Right,
you're going to contender.
right.
You're going to go try to win that chip that we been to the playoffs one time in 7 years for him. So he never really got that opportunity. And we got the two first round picks, number 14 overall. I'm like, this is best of both worlds. So I think for both sides, I thought it was an even trade in that. Some people say Baltimore might have gave up a little too much for Crosby's injuries and stuff. But at the same time, when you're all in, you got to go all in. But yeah, it's weird because I've already kind of like the last few days like came to peace with it. So like I'm kind of excited to have him back. I don't really know where my emotions are. Like with all the signings we just had, I don't know how that affects our cap space. I think we have enough cap room still to have them. And now we got two young linebackers. We brought in some other pass rushers. Obviously, we re-signed our corner, brought in another corner. Like this defense looks like it actually could be something. And now, I thought we were gonna be pretty decent just without Max. Now you add Max to all our signings. Like maybe we could make some noise. Again, I'm not promising nothing. We got a rookie quarterback. We all know how that goes, but hey, if he comes in and is halfway legit and we could play defense again, that's a rookie's quarterback is best friend. You can run the ball, play defense. Quarterback just has to stay out of his own way and you could win some ball games. Again, I'm not predicting nothing. I'm just like my emotions are kind of all over the place because I already like.
I was gonna say, did we draft already? You already have a rookie quarterback?
No,
Like,
but
we,
we're
did
drafting.
we, did
We're
we,
drafting Mendoza. I mean, we go out. Okay, to pivot. I mean, so I'm gonna stick with the Raiders because obviously I'm the Raider fan, and it's not just smoke anymore. I've heard plenty of people, three different radio hosts. Colin Coward said it. Bill Maher said it. And then they're like, we're not used to saying this, but everything the Raiders are doing makes sense. Everything the Raiders have done is awesome. They kind of know where they're going. They have a plan. We're not just signing random people. We're not signing old free agents. We're signing all these young talent, upgrading on positions, go out and get the best center on the market, top three in the league, young guy to obviously pair with Mendoza when we draft him. And that was my number one signing. I wanted Limbaugh, number one available on all the signings. We go out and get him. Very rare have I, as a fan, and what the Raiders have done over the years, have I been like, Oh yeah, that signing makes sense. Our trades usually, everybody's usually hating on our trades. We always either give up too much or don't get enough. This and that. So even the Max Crosby trade, everyone was like, it's a great move for the Raiders, and everything, John Spytek and Tom Brady and the influence there. That's what I'm excited about. Again, we never know how it all pans out. I'm not trying to play like, oh, all these guys are going to be studs and going to be a great team. What you do want to see out of your team is that you have a sense of direction and that you understand what your team needs and where you're going. So I know there's a lot of Raider talk. I'll let Jake go on all the rest of the free agency. But as far as all the moves, we had the most money in the league, so it makes sense that the Raiders made a lot of splash moves. But they didn't do it just free willing, free willy style. They did it with a purpose. They're trying to make our team younger, more athletic, and better. And I think we did that, and we'll see. I don't know if they're still going to try to trade Max. Like, I don't know. It's a little complicated now with that side of it, but everything else we've done, I like what I've seen. And it's not only coming from a fan. I like what I've heard on the radio. It hasn't been like this. Trust me, it hasn't been like this for 15 years where people like what the Raiders are doing. A lot of people said they loved what the Raiders have been doing.
Hey, real quick, I feel for you, Nick. You definitely sound a lot more excited than about a month ago when all this stuff was happening. So you see the light. I feel you as a Panthers fan. It may not make sense to everybody on the outside and what they're doing or whatever, but if you're watching it for that many years and you're seeing all this stuff and then you see the right things being done and then coming to fruition, it gets you excited. Jacob, please, we always promise the fans fantasy football perspective. And free agency always plays a big part in how we're going to draft and the value. And we're all about value here, right here at the SportsRanter. So please let us know what happened in free agency so far that's going to shake up fantasy football 2026-27.
A few things. First, just 10 more seconds of Raider talk. Not really being a Raider fan or anything, you can see right away that it's a different culture. They, right when they signed Linderbaum, it's like, thank God, rather than going out and getting some, hot stud receiver or whatever, like build around them, build a team. They got guys that winners, leadership. It looks like they're on the right path. It's exciting if you're a Raider fan, especially.
Real quick. I just want to add the Raider move this offseason would have been we traded for AJ Brown. That's what the Raiders of old would have happened. You just brought that up, Jake. Like, that's what would have happened.
Yeah.
And instead, obviously, we already stated what happened.
Yeah.
That's the difference.
Yeah. So some big ones, obviously there's some excitement now that David Montgomery's gone and, Gibbs has, got that backfield to himself. I'm not, Gibbs is not going to have 300 carries and all that. Gibbs last year, just looking at it, he had 243 rushes and he had 67 catches. It's like the guy, for his size and his stature and his ability, his workload's pretty maxed out. He got 18 touchdowns, total last year. He has 77 receptions, 243 carries. So if people are thinking they're going to see even more from Gibbs this year, especially on a team that, that lost Ben Johnson and I don't think so. Pacheco coming in over, to take Montgomery's spot, Pacheco's that bruiser between the middle back. He's going to get his work. So I like it for Gibbs, but not any more than I liked Gibbs last year. He's still probably my one or two, probably my number two behind Bijan Robinson. So, that was a big one day one. As far as Montgomery goes, just sense of the graveyard. The Houston Texans were 32nd as far as their running, their offensive running and run blocking. They were dead last in the league last year and everything. And then they traded away their one of their tackles that had been there. I know they signed another guy who's notorious injuries. I think he missed 17 games. I forget his name. But yeah, so Montgomery kind of goes off the board for me. I'm just, unless he's there in the 10th round or something like that. But Interesting with some quarterback changes. Malik Willis getting Miami gave him 3 years. We'll see what happens there. New coaching regime and all that. Tyreek's out, so we'll see with Waddle and Devon Achane. Achane's always going to get his volume. There's just no reason not to, no matter what coach goes in there. Wan'Dale Robinson's got a big payday with the Titans. 4 years, $78 million, going from the Giants to the Titans. That's a stupid, what we're talking about with the Raiders. That's a stupid move. You got a quarterback that didn't show you anything last year, then you dump $78 million on Wan'Dale Robinson. So good luck, guys, with that. I do like, as far as
that and Alec Pierce, going to Alec Pierce.
Alec Pierce, that's going to be an interesting one, because Alec
But he
Pierce
got 47 catches. He got 47 catches.
He had more air yards per catch than anybody in the league. And
when you have 47, it's an average, Jake. That's why.
Right. But you lost Daniel Jones midseason, okay? You lost Daniel Jones midseason. Michael Pittman got traded away. I'm not saying that the guy's a lock. I'm not saying that I would have paid that much money. But what I am saying is I think he's shown enough to where I'm not writing him off. The guy's a burner. He's a fast, quick guy. Let's see what he does.
It's just more for the money. Again, the guy has talent. He's in the league. I understand that, but he's had injury problems.
Right.
And then, like you just said, you paid him like a number one. We all know Michael Pittman drew the attention. You always have Jonathan Taylor you have to worry about and all that. Like, with all those guys gone, you just got Pittman now. I mean, you just have Pierce out there. Dude, go earn it. Like you said, prove us wrong. That's fine. But just the initial, I don't mind them re-signing him, but this, man, the contract's massive for 37 catches, and he's injury prone.
Looking at the contracts between Wan'Dale Robinson, Alec Pierce, Romeo Doubs, these receivers that have gotten money. I guess if I had to pick,
I like the Romeo Doubs one better. I was going to bring him up.
Well, he's got a quarterback. He's got a quarterback for sure. I really like, coming from the Buffalo fan base. I like DJ Moore going to Buffalo. I think he's a good fit there.
Yeah.
I think he's going to be he's a guy that
he
can get open.
Click with Caleb for some reason. He didn't click with Caleb.
No, and I just think that receiver room got just too crowded. You brought in Luther Burden, you have Roma Donze. They drafted Loveland before, before, who was the other tight?
Komet?
No, Warren for the Colts.
Oh, Tyler Warren?
Yeah. Loveland went before Warren in the draft. They drafted that guy to not just sit and watch. So I just think, DJ Moore just couldn't find his place. But I think he's the kind of guy, when Josh Allen starts running around for his life, he's a guy that can get open. And I'm interested to see that. I'm happy they signed him. But I know Andrew got excited about Mike Evans going to the Niners. We'll see. He's 32 years old now. If they can get maybe 13 games out of him or whatever, and 10 touchdowns. I know that who had just departed. I know Ayuk's going to be gone, and I think they brought back Juwan Jennings. So, but yeah, that'll be it. Yeah, Juwan Jennings is still, I think, in free agency.
Yeah, he's back with Pearsall, and
but the big one, everyone's excited. Kenneth Walker going to the Chiefs. I think it's interesting. Everybody wants to, especially now they have Eric Bieniemy back as their offensive coordinator. Everybody wants every year to just get a piece of like that Chiefs backfield. Remember the old Kareem Hunt days and all that. You paid Kenneth Walker like you want him to be the horse, but we've gotten duped by this before, where we thought Clyde Edwards-Helaire was going to be this pass catching stud out of college, and Isaiah Pacheco looked really good the year before last until he got hurt, and then he kind of never lost. He never
was
gained
Bieniemy the coordinator when Jamal Charles was there?
I believe he was when Kareem Hunt had his big.
No, that was too long ago, I think.
I know.
Yeah, Jamal Charles was a while ago, but
Okay.
but he
He was
has
there
shown
when
he has shown
Pacheco
that
had his first. He was there when Pacheco had his breakout year, and like they could run the ball when Bieniemy was there.
Uh-huh.
And then when he left, call it Bieniemy, a couple injuries, the line not as good. A little all avenues kind of led to them not being able to run the ball. But Bieniemy always got the most out of their running back.
Yeah, and they're going to have to. I think we saw last year that Mahomes, they're going to need to balance that offense a little bit. Mahomes is going to need some help. They're going to need, Kelsey's, Kelsey. I know he's coming back for one more year, but he's not that short game surefire escape route, that he was. I don't think. Of course, he finished the tight end like 3 in fantasy last year, but no, if they use him like they paid him, he'll be a fun guy to have in your fantasy leagues, I think, because Kansas City always scores a lot of points, and Kenneth Walker is not an Isaiah Pacheco or a Kareem Hunt or one of these guys that you Clyde Edwards, who you're hoping that they use. Like, you're bringing him in, you're using Kenneth Walker. He's your Super Bowl MVP, and the guy proved when Charbonnet went down last year in Seattle that he can carry a workload. He's a bruiser, man. I've always liked him as a running back. When they drafted Charbonnet, it was like, God dang. Ever wanted to see what he could do being the workhorse. So I'm excited about that one. But yeah, that's kind of what I got. Obviously, there's a lot of, the Rams have done a great job shoring up their defense. They're getting, but defense doesn't really put asses in the seats.
I bring up one more,
yeah,
Ben, and I know I'm going to catch you off guard here, but ETN went to the Saints.
Oh yeah.
So what do you think about Travis Etienne on the Saints? That's one that's we're going to have to look at and evaluate throughout the offseason.
The brother went from Jacksonville to the Saints because
ETN, yeah, ETN. There's two. There's a brother.
The brother's on the Panthers.
Yes, that's right. Yes.
So
Jacksonville.
Jacksonville's ETN was traded to the
Jacksonville's
Saints.
ETN went to the
Holy
Saints.
shit! So the brothers are in the same division now. Wow.
And Alvin Kamara is still there, I believe.
Dude,
but getting older.
Dude, ETN had a monster season in Jacksonville last year. Let me take this, guys. First off, thank you, Nick. Thank you, Jake. Nick, thank you for your scoop on the Raiders and that trade. Regardless, I know you're a Raider fan, but that's pretty significant as a fan in the NFL.
Panthers let Dowdle go, by the way.
We're getting to that. We're getting to that. Jake, thank you for your insight on all this fantasy perspective. That's huge for our channel, and that's what people are looking for. I do believe that Kenneth Walker trade kind of shows the league, wow, he's a Super Bowl MVP, he's a running back. And instead of getting a contract, he gets traded. And so, but why not? You already got it. You got the Super Bowl, right? So why not restructure your team and your roster and try to obtain a Super Bowl a different way? And so it makes sense, I guess. I wrote down the ones that I was kind of excited about. David Montgomery. Everybody always kind of downplays him. And I think now he's going to get a good chance in Houston. We'll see. I still think he's not going to wow anybody, but I still think he's going to produce David Montgomery style numbers. And so if he's there late, I need a number 2 running back because I went heavy on my receivers. I'm going to snatch me up some David Montgomery. I'm sorry. It feels good coming there out of Houston. Not as good as, Nick Chubb. I'm not going to get a chubby on Nick Chubb. I'm not going to get all chubby like I did on Nick Chubb, okay? But I like him. Dowdle to the Steelers. Good for him. He's going to get McCarthy. It reminds me of the Eddie Lacy days where they had someone to carry it. I mean, who's the quarterback going to be who's the quarterback for the Steelers?
God, who is the quarterback for the Steelers?
Going to be Aaron Rodgers, maybe? That's what they're saying?
We don't know
yet.
He
excited, but...
So, we'll talk about that. Evans to the 49ers. I think everyone's going to count him out. Every year, everyone's going to count out Evans. Everyone's going to count out Purdy. And I think they're now together at a unique time. I think they can put it together in time. And I can already hear Andrew talk. I can already freaking hear Andrew talk about this Evans Purdy love. And it's already making me itch. Anyways,
it's funny. Hold on, it's funny because for a receiver like Mike Evans, who has this injury history a mile long, to go to a team that has a curse on them as far as injured wide receivers. Evans may not even make it to.
If he's healthy, he's gonna produce. It's gonna be fine. But you're not gonna be able to rely on him on fantasy because, like Jake says, we don't even know if the guy's gonna be here. But as far as just football matchups, like, dude, Birdie he's got a guy he could just throw the ball up to. That's what makes Mike Evans special. Yes, veteran, all that, but dude, he's just bigger, faster, stronger than all the DBs out there.
Like Kittle's so great.
That's why he just gets 1,000 yards, 10 touchdowns every year, just automatic. Close your eyes. He's going to get 1,000 yards, 10 touchdowns because you can literally just scramble and throw it up to him, and he's going to come down to it. So he's going to be a good, security blanket for Purdy. And then the other thing that I mean, some people have talked about it, but like, he's going to Kyle Shanahan offense. Like, you don't think Kyle Shanahan's going to come up with some things for him? Like,
hitting the ball, right? He'll get in the ball.
Again, injury aside, obviously, if he's in there, I think he's going to produce. Now, is he going to be like a number one receiver? No, there's a lot of mouths to feed, like Jake brought up, and that's a valid point. McCaffrey's still, one day they'll tone it down, but the guy seems he's going to touch the ball 35 times a game. So, it's limited how much he's really going to get. But to say he won't be productive if he's healthy, I think that's a stretch. I think his size is what allows him to overcome the age thing, because he's never been a speed guy. Yes, he's fast, don't get me wrong, but he's fast because of his long stride and stuff. But he could always just catch the ball over you. He was never like this great, speedy, twitchy, route runner. Like, that's not his game. So as for him to age, I think he will age better than some of these other receivers that we've seen who have to rely on their quickness and twitchiness and all that you lose with age. So I think it's a good move. Again, doesn't make sense in that you sign an older guy who's injury prone on a team who's old and injury prone. Like, that's you tend to try to get younger and more secure, but I'm not gonna knock the move 100% just because you're getting a Hall of Fame receiver.
Yeah.
Real quick, Jake, I want to talk about some unsung winners out of this whole free agency business, okay? Because obviously the names are all very surface level, but there's other people that are affected by this. Number one that I want to touch on is DJ Moore. That guy's a good dude, bro. He came in and was drafted by the Panthers. Everybody kind of hated him, but he still produced through freaking Sam Darnold, Baker Mayfield. He was supposed to be the receiver to help revamp this organization. And dude, this guy was a solid dude the whole time. He gets traded basically for Bryce Young. Goes to Chicago, doesn't really get the respect, and then here comes Caleb Williams, gets the contract. Dude, DJ Moore is a solid dude, a really good dude, Jake, and who wins from this is Josh Allen. I think Josh Allen gets the receiver. Like you said, he's not a good fit for Caleb. I think he is a great fit for Josh Allen. Not just somebody that like you said, we don't have to count on Josh Allen all the time. DJ Moore is going to be open for him. Plus James Cook, if they can figure out some more of their tight end stuff, I really think Josh Allen is an unsung hero out of that DJ Moore trade. Another unsung hero for our fantasy viewers. I'm not saying go reach for him, but I'm saying you can wait for him late again, Mr. Chuba Hubbard. Rico Dowdle's going to go to the Steelers. I'm telling you guys right now, Chuba Hubbard's going to be excited to come back and put up that numbers, and he's signed to the contract. They're going to use him. They still got young Jonathan Brooks, yeah, but he's coming off an injury. They're going to protect Jonathan Brooks. Jonathan Brooks was the number one running back out of the draft last year, got hurt. So him and Travis Etienne, they like that stable, but they have signed Chuba Hubbard, and they are going to give him the rock next year, back with that same O-line.
That's why I drafted him this last year, and he completely let me down. I
know. I'm just letting you know. Don't reach for him that soon. You can count on him as your number 2 if he's there late. That's all I'm saying. All right. And so, with all of that said, if I can go ahead and dip into the Panthers a little bit, I don't know what else has been going on, but I'm a little bit excited. That defense was last 2 years ago. Last place historical numbers 2 years ago, right? What they were able to do last year with their free agency and draft, Nick Scorton, Trevon Moehrig, other guys like this, they went to like a 15th ranked defense, but a top 5 run defense throughout the season. So that's a big change coming from where you're at, right? Nothing special, but a big change coming from where you're at. Now they add Lloyd from Jacksonville, who my son Christian is salivating over, and also Jalen Phillips from Philadelphia, right? Is that where he's from? And so I don't know if they're done yet, but I feel like they're a trade up away from Sonny Styles. You know, with all these picks that they got, middle linebacker, I want to shut it down. I'm going to shut it down. I'm getting too freaking excited. But anyways, that's my Panther rant. More on that. Guys, it's been a long time. I haven't done sports in a while. Live is back on. Panthers are doing crazy shit. Jake, I'm going to have to meet your energy with these videos and lives because I'm getting rant crazy, okay? Woo! Let me calm down. Anyways, free agency, guys, it's gone now. Is there anything that you guys feel like you need to talk about? Free agency.
There's still a lot of.
What's going on, Nick?
There's still a lot of big names out there. I'm just going down the top 100 list right now, and I mean, free agency is by all means not done. You know, Trey Hendrickson's still out there. You know, he's the big name right now.
Wow.
Coming out of Cincinnati. He's just nobody's ready to meet that asking price. But there's guys that I never. Well, first off, I like what Arizona did. Arizona decided rather than go through this quarterback carousel and this ring around of paying guys like Malik Willis all this money or bringing in like a Tua on a 1 year. Arizona went out and they said, Jacoby Brissett was our backup last year. We're going forward. He's our starter this year.
Wow.
And to me, that just says, it's like, look, we know that we're rebuilding. We're not going to start from here and try and build down. Like, they're going into the draft with their picks into free agency, and they're addressing other things to get a foundation in place. Like we always say on the show, to exactly kind of what the Raiders are doing now, to be able to usher in the quarterback that they want, rather than is Malik Willis going to last 3 years in Miami? I'm sorry, that they got a new coach in there.
Tua did.
Well, yeah, they signed Tua. Tua's an anomaly because when they signed Tua, that was the best offense, after he had that monster season. But it's like, I don't know, sometimes you got to look at it with a different angle when a guy gets, is on his 9th concussion. You're right. He's definitely not the same player and all that stuff. But I don't know if I'm ready to write him off that it was talent based. Remember when when Tyreek Hill went there his first year, he said, Tua is the most accurate guy, quarterback I've ever played with, and this and that. And then after all these concussions, it's like he wants out of town. Kyler Murray, he's still not signed. He's going to go somewhere probably as a backup. But there's a lot of good Zion Johnson, Taylor Decker, some big O-line guys, Joe Patino. I would love for Buffalo to pick up even one of these guys right now. I just don't think you could ever have as many offensive linemen. You can never have too many.
You never can have too many O-line.
But there's a lot of names out there that are still going to be relevant dudes. So not over by any means.
What's going to happen, Nick? Where are these big names going to go?
So I think Aaron Rodgers is going to go back with the Steelers. If he was going to retire, I think he was going to. And I think behind the scenes, you know how Aaron Rodgers is like, hey, prove it to me to come back. Well, what the Steelers have done again, they go out and trade for Michael Pittman, and then they go out and get Rico Dowdle. Dude, that's
with
showing Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
Hey, look, we're getting your weapons now. Here you go. So I think that's kind of like the writing on the wall there from the Steelers. Like, their free agency was all offense, and they don't have a quarterback, they don't have a high draft pick, they don't have their only option to even try to be competitive or win is Aaron Rodgers, and they're kind of hostage. It sucks. They're going to stay in that middle ground. It's kind of like they've talked about, you kind of don't want to be where the Steelers are at right now. They've been so just good enough, but not good. And it's just, they really need a tank and kind of rebuild like some of these teams, or else you just stay at 9-8, 8-8, the whole time and never really have a chance to win. But I think that's that. And then a lot of talk is now that some pieces have still, moved around and stuff. Kyler Murray to the Vikings is still, something that is possible because, like Jake said, it's either there or you go somewhere as a backup, and that's hard for me to believe. I mean, I know Kyler Murray has his flaws. Don't get me wrong; he's not a perfect quarterback, but the guy can ball, dude. He's got skills, and
I got
so
one for you, Nick. Ben? What would you guys? Okay, so the person is still out there. I understand. You guys are gonna give the little eye roll at first. Just Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins is gonna be released now that Tua signed a 1 year with Atlanta. Is there a possibility with a good O line? You got a good. I mean, is there a possibility Kirk Cousins goes back to the Vikings for 1 year?
I mean, there could be. I'm just saying. I think if you give I think Kyler Murray's a little more talented. But maybe his work ethic isn't that good. I'm not going to talk to what they do off the field. Obviously, if the guy just wants to play PlayStation the whole time, then I'm not going to vouch for him. But put that aside. Say new environment, new coach gets him to be an adult. Kyler Murray is more talented, and putting him with Kevin O'Connell, I'm like, because sometimes people need a rebirth. You're in the same place that drafted you. The Arizona's he's gone through 3 head coaches, never really that good. That doesn't motivate you. You go to a contender, you go to somewhere where there's a defense, you go to somewhere where there's an offensive coach who's respected and a really good coach. That might throw some motivation. Now, you can argue you should be self-motivated, but some people need to be motivated. And I don't know. I just think Kyler Murray in a good spot. I'd like to see him one more time. One more time.
I'm sorry. I agree with you, Nick. I do. I'm not trying to poke at you. Okay? But
it's all good.
But asking Kyler Murray to be an adult is a very, very tall task, my friend. So,
I understand.
And I only answer that in response to a video I saw recently with Kirk Cousins. It was one that he was now a starter because of Penix. He wasn't supposed to be the starter, and now he's losing games, right? I mean, and now the press is on his ass because number one, he didn't ask for this situation, but now he's losing games again because Atlanta sucks. So he's really answering depth questions, Kirk Cousins. They ask him, what's the difference now with the coaching situation and how things are now from where you were 10 years ago? And Kirk Cousins had to take a moment to ask her this question. He went silent. He was like, I don't know if I want to answer this question, but he said, fuck it. All right, Nick? And here's what he said. Basically, let me turn this off. This music's here getting me annoyed here. This is what Kirk Cousins said, okay? Kirk Cousins goes, back in the day, because that's how long he's been in the league now, right? Back in the day, you literally had to read defenses. Up, down, safety, left, right, this, what, up, down. There was a language between everybody. So the things that they're asking me to do now is a little bit different because now it's all play-oriented. Because now I don't really check the defenses, read defenses now. It's 1, 2, 3 RPO. Because this freaking situation, and la 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 la, and you know what? And then this language, it sucks. That's what Kirk Cousins said, dude. And so it made me think a lot. It's dude, Kirk Cousins is well more prepared than some of these coaches that they're bringing into the league. Who tainted him with this shit? How he explained it, he said it very politely because he's Kirk Cousins. Right? But he basically blasted everybody in the league. And it kind of explains how we went with the Minnesota Vikings. Say bye-bye, Kirk. And bye-bye, Sam Darnold. Thank you for winning. Get off my team. So I think Kirk Cousins has an absolute chance at any time to be the next Kurt Warner.
Well, if a team will, and mind you, we didn't get much from, but the fact that we even got anything for Geno Smith, then, then, then I'm not gonna say there isn't a spot for him because, dude, I had a laugh. I would have bet $1 million that we're not gonna get anything for Geno. You couldn't even get a freaking old cleat for Geno Smith. Who would trade anything for Geno Smith? The fact that we traded him with a seventh round pick and got a sixth round pick back, I'm like, this is the Jets. I don't know what the Jets are still the Jets. Why
So
did we
stupid.
trade for Geno Smith again? I don't know. But that, I mean, again,
The
so
Wasn't he?
Jets.
You're going to release him anyways. Like,
I know. We
what
were
a
gonna release him,
what
and
a stupid
like I don't
franchise.
know. So that's what I'm saying. So is there a home for Kirk Cousins? Yeah, I'd rather have Kirk Cousins, 100%. I'd rather have Kyler, or whatever. So yeah, I mean, yeah, it's the offenses now are a lot more vanilla, and everybody knows that. The problem is, I think, is because we have so much head coaching turnover, you know, that you know, you don't really have time to put in this complicated, crazy offense. You
Right.
might have 2 years,
Right.
and then if you happen to be good, you might become a head coach. And that's why we're seeing the good offensive head coaches are the ones that are winning more consistently and are staying in the league. Because if you are a brilliant offensive mind, you have the one up on everybody because
Right.
no one else has the chance to try to develop these crazy schemes. That's why the Andy Reid's, the Sean McVays, the Kyle Shanahan's, all those, are successful for a long period of time because once you're able to establish your offense and the thing is it's always evolving. So yeah, they have their foundation, but they grab a play here, they grab a play here. They can run the same play out of 8 different formations and all that stuff. It's the same play, but it looks different, 8 different ways, all that stuff. You can't do that when, dude, coaches are getting fired left or right every year. How often do you get to like actually evolve the offense? You have to come in, put in your basic offense, hope you survive a few years, hope that your team is good, and then if you have actually get to continue or get a head coaching job, then your offense finally gets to evolve. But
Right.
in a year or two, it never evolves, dude.
And
Andy
that's
Reid's
what.
playbook is astronomical only because he's been able to evolve it for years and years and years. This wasn't his playbook 10 years ago or
Yeah.
15 years ago.
That's why it's so important. I think these franchises, your head coach and your GM have to absolutely be on the same wavelength. When you bring in a head coach, it's got to be, look, this is where you guys are at right now. These are the players you guys have. Realistically, let's be honest. This is going to be a 3-year rebuild if we do it correctly. This is my plan to do so. These coaches that are given the 1 or 2 years to change everything around, it's just what can you do?
Too
That's
much.
why with Kirk Cousins, you got to remember with Kirk Cousins, the guy had an Achilles injury on his plant foot. Um, I know it's a quarterback's a lot different than a running back, but these are injuries where, yes, they can get back on the field in a year. But I think to have the confidence to be able to use that that leg, like you're not thinking about the injury, takes an additional year. I would not be, and Minnesota, like we're saying right now, everything's in place. It's been in place. They've been waiting for the guy. Darnold's not coming back. He re-signed with the Seahawks, and you're kind of in a situation where it's like you're still winning 11 plus games a year. You're not sure if McCarthy's going to be the guy. And Nick, for just the reasons you said, Kyler Murray can have infinite much more talent, but the guy doesn't know the system. The guy has, this is a completely new thing for him. Just as he's had, different coaches, offensive coordinators in Arizona. I do think Kirk Cousins has enough. Could being another year replaced from the Achilles. I don't care what we saw last year, from last year to the year before. Like, if he's another year separated from this Achilles injury, and he's got juice left in the tank, I mean, I think it's a good fit for him, considering how long is Justin Jefferson going to sit there and try to catch balls from JJ McCarthy? You got to have a plan, or he's going to be a guy that gets frustrated and wants to trade somewhere.
Very
Yeah.
good point. Very good point. Well, moving on, you guys. We have some time left to continue to get ready for what's happening in the next few months. Obviously, free agency is not over. There's going to be significant signings here still. Trey Hendrickson, right? That's going to be huge for a pass rusher. So it's there's still things happening. But draft day is also on its way, and we need to get ready for these names. We may not be prepared. We may not be fully prepared for it yet, but that's why we're going to start talking about it right now. And that way we can get our juices flowing. That way, we're ready for draft day and to see how it's going to help us get ready for our own personal drafts towards the end of August, which is right around the corner, folks. It's happening too quick. It's all happening too quick already. So, anyways, Nick, if you have been paying attention to some of the college players, if you haven't, it's okay. But every year, some of the featured players are already out there. In obviously, you already believe the Raiders have a rookie quarterback in Mendoza, right? You're already speaking it into existence. I already got to buy this jersey as it is, right? Blah 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 blah. So what else? What else out there do you think would be impactful for the fantasy season of 2026? We all thought Ashton Jeanty was going to be a pretty impactful guy. He was in certain games, but he probably should have been more. There was something going on with the Raiders organization, not Ashton Jeanty. I'll say that now.
Correct.
So,
The worst old line in the league.
so we weren't wrong on that impact. Like that sucks about us. Is like, dude, we all saw that he was going to be an impact player, but something happened with the organization. So this year it's different. Who are the players that are going to have an impact, or even if you want to get deeper, guys that we had last year that missed that might actually come up? What do you think?
I think the obvious one this year is, Jeremiah Love, that everybody's talking about, the running back for Notre Dame. I mean, they talked about the Chiefs taking him if he falls to 9, but then I think what was happening was no one believes that he's going to fall to 9. They would have to trade up for him. So I think the Chiefs just decided to go through the free agency mark and go that route. The As far as the number one receiver on the board, um, it kind of goes. There's a couple different options. Jordan Tyson at Arizona State, Carnell Tate out of Ohio State. I would lean Cardell Tate. I don't know why Ohio State receivers just do fantastic in the NFL. So if I had to lean one way, I just whoever the first, Ohio State receiver is, draft that, draft
Huh.
that guy. They seem to do well. Other than that, you got a lot of first mid rounder guys, but it's a big edge up top, defensive edge, and a lot of O linemen, defense, cornerbacks. Like this is not a real heavy offensive minded draft. Obviously, even the quarterbacks, there's Fernando Mendoza, and that's it. That's why I know the Raiders are drafting him. So offensively, it actually is not this super loaded draft. Obviously, Fernando Mendoza, which I don't think he's going to be fantasy relevant. I don't think that he's like not going to be good. I'm just saying like he's not going to be a top 12 quarterback, that you're going to want to, pursue in fantasy. But Jeremiah Love will. So, I mean, honestly, I think there's one player. The receivers, we'll have to see where they go. A lot of times, do they have a quarterback? Where's their offensive coordinator? What team are they on? Are they going to be behind a lot? Are they going to work them in? Who are the other receivers on their team? Are they going to be the number one or not? And all that has to get played out for receivers. But I will tell you this, whoever drafts Jeremiah Love, they're getting a baller. He can catch the ball out of the backfield, which is what we love for fantasy. He's that's closest thing to, McCaffrey that we've seen come out. Again, I'm not saying he's as good as him, but he's just dynamic. He's elite. He can catch the ball. He can do it all as a running back. So, I'm interested to see who's going to draft him, and that's really the fantasy relevance. Early on in round one.
Happy day, Jacob. If you're not so prepared for it, I'm not. That's why I'm asking you guys first. Okay.
No, I'll give. No,
But
I'm. I like Nick said, it isn't. Isn't an especially deep offensive draft. If we're talking fantasy, especially in redrafts, you really shouldn't be looking too much to the NFL draft. I mean, look at Ashton Jeanty. Ashton Jeanty last year was, I mean, if there was had ever at any point been a rookie that you draft and take in the first round, if you ever, Ashton Jeanty's it, man. Volume and Pete Carroll and the Seattle
did you draft
this and
him?
that. Yeah, and look what it got you. Look what it got you.
Right.
Now, Jeremiah Love, again, another stud, another guy, got it all, got the tools, got the this, got the that. What if the Texans draft him? At that point, it's it. That's it for me. So, you know, you don't, and I'll tell you this right now because I'm a guy. I like watching college. I like watching college football. I do. It's exciting. It's fun. It's intense because of the rivalries and stuff. But I don't follow these players every season like I know what the hell's going on. I look at these Sonny Style, or I'm sorry, Jordan Tyson and Carnell Tate. I'll go look up their highlights and this and that. And you know what? Yeah, if you go look up Carnell Tate highlights on YouTube, there's going to be a lot of awesome plays of him making highlights. Like, obviously.
No way.
So what I'm saying is just
what are you saying?
for the average fantasy football player, when your team or when an offensive player goes, look at the rounds. Okay, are teams investing in that wide receiver or that running back in the first round? Are they investing in that wide in the fifth round? Okay. Then look at that team, like what they did, where they just dumped all their money in free agency. Okay, if somebody goes and if the Bears go out and they draft Carnell Tate, it's like in say the second round, it's like, am I going to waste a fantasy draft pick, say fifth, fourth, fifth, sixth round, in a situation where there's all these veterans, all these guys that have been in the system before and all that? Like, look at the situation for that team. Look at where they're dumping money in free agency. Look at who's already there. Quarterbacks are a big one, like big Garrett Wilson. That guy was a stud. That guy's, you just got to get all his vote, this and that. And he's just a dead man walking out there in New York. My God, they just traded for Geno Smith. Gee. And then, lastly, it's Jeremiah Love, like I said, if he goes to, Houston or whatever, but you just pay attention to just pay attention when these offensive players go, in redrafts, you really shouldn't be looking at any rookies that were drafted after the second round, because if they were drafted after, more than likely they're going to be on waivers for most of the season. So for them to take up a bench spot, but those first and second round rookies that get drafted in those early rounds, all you got to do is just take a look at that team. People were so excited about Zach Charbonnet coming out of college, out of UCLA, because he was this great pass catcher, but he also had this size. He was quick. He was a big hitter, but he had the best like catch rate in college throughout his entire. And then the Seahawks drafted him right after they drafted Kenneth Walker, and it's like, that's it. So you're as right, an average fantasy football player, your common sense can bring you a long way in evaluating rookies.
Great.
Yeah, I would just say for late round running backs, sleepers and stuff like that, look at the teams who improve their O-line and draft O-linemen. That's always just a little research you can do. Like Jake says, oh, Houston this, Houston that. They draft two linemen, sign another one. That's not like, it could be something where nobody's looking at them. You draft them late. You hope they improved. Of course, we're not saying that you're drafting in the second round that running back because they drafted some alignment, but these later running backs, you can always kind of look to see who improves their line.
But see, this is where, and we'll get into this in later shows. And this is where I think a lot of our advice on this show is going to help people, is you don't have to get that player on draft day. You keep that player in the back of your mind going, you know what? The Steelers just traded for Rico Dowdle, and they got no one else in the backfield. They did spend a third round pick, and sometimes you get the Caleb Johnsons, but they did take this guy in the fourth round who led the ACC in rushing yardage and this and that. You don't have to take up a bench spot on opening day on week one, but I'll tell you what, you make sure that when week one is done, go look at the stats. How did he do? Go look at the stats. How are the touches going? It makes such a difference because people aren't paying attention to that shit. Your other league mates, for the most part, except in all our damn leagues, With Christian and Damien all the time. But they're not paying attention to that. So keep those guys in the back of your mind, those third, fourth rounders that, like they went to the situation. Rico Dowdle ain't gonna hold that job forever. This guy's looking on it. And that's, then you get you take your shot on those guys, but it doesn't need to be on draft day. Your fantasy draft day.
Great point. And this is the first draft I've seen in a while where there's not like a number one competition, where there's like, other than obviously Nick, your situation with the Raiders, what I'm saying is there's nobody competing with Mendoza for that, right? And so then there's not like the super big ass defensive guy that's gonna possibly compete with Mendoza, right? Like no matter what, the Raiders are gonna pass on Mendoza because there's an all-out defender like Julius Peppers, right? So all these situations are not there this year to make it, I think, a draft that's kind of not worth watching. But obviously, the owners in the league have to approach it a certain way. That's why you're going to see most teams go to free agency and hit their need. They're going to hit the need in free agency, fill that spot. That way, particularly with this draft, they could just get best player available. Because who knows? Like I said, it's like, it's just going to change. Everyone's draft board is going to be a lot different this year because there's not much offense, which is usually the ticket, right? A lot of offense. Well, there's not much this year. There's not much defensive wows other than Sonny Styles. So please, Panthers, okay, with all this crap, you've already got your needs. You need the Luke Kuechly replacement. You just put him into first ballot Hall of Fame. He's gone, right? And you haven't replaced him since. So, do what you got to do. I'll be praying. He's one of the best freaking linebackers in this freaking draft. Who knows how the rest of the league is going to see that or if they need a backer. I don't care. Dan Morgan, I know that you have been salivating for your linebacker. Stop. Right? Nick, you're a fullback, right? Or you're a running back. You do that shit. You're a DN and you're finally drafting, right? And you finally get to draft your guy. Don't tell me that you're not going to pick the most replicated guy of you.
Of course.
You know what I'm saying? So come on, Dan Morgan. I know you got some tricks. I don't want you trading it away. But if that boy Sonny Styles starts falling, because he went from going to top past 20 to now, because the draft is crazy, now he's top 5. Now he's going to 10. I'm just saying, who knows what's going to happen? Freaking make the move. Make the jump if he ends up falling past 10 when you're at 19. Okay? Anyways, I'm getting excited. Excuse me. I haven't looked at football in a long time. For those of you that watch our channel, yes, Ben, I'm the Panthers fan here out of nowhere. Living in San Diego, and I'm a Carolina Panthers fan. That's right. I'm way behind on all my research. They just now made some new episodes and new signs, and I'm going to get caught up, I promise you that. And I'm going to start doing my own little Panthers lives to see if we can get a little, Cali keep pounding. A little Cali keep pounding around here since San Diego doesn't have a team. So, guys, it's 6:53. Fantastic show. I want to say thank you, Nick. Thank you, Jake, for being here again today. I love being with you guys. Guys, for you who are watching us live, for those viewers, for those who come back to watch our episodes on your own time, we don't do it here unless it's fun. That is the glue here at the SportsRanter. That's why you're here. That's why we're here every Tuesday, because we love talking this stuff, and we're not here to make money. We're not here doing this stuff. No, we're here for you, and we're here for us, because we love this stuff. All right, so with that said, like I said, thank you, Nick. Thank you, Jake. Thank you, SportsRanter Nation. We will be here again live now, baby. Live next Tuesday at 6 p.m. You might see us throughout the week with our own little personal rants. We're all doing that stuff now, but I'm done. It's a lot, guys. Take it easy. Have a good one.
Take it easy. Have a good one.
See you guys later.
Woo. Come on.
Hell yeah, guys. See you next week.
Hell yeah.